dovremmo essere pignoli, prende leggermente da questa parte, non troppo. E in bolla, però leggermente di qua.
Vediamo un po'. Per me va bene. Are set in position on the structure, we want to make sure that the shape is fair. So we can verify that by using a stringer, like one of those we're going to use for the structure later on, and put it on place and see if it touches all of the frames where it's supposed to be touching them. If not, then we know that we will have to take some action. So the funny thing is that we might go, deep into technical and have, use the help of tooling machines and stuff. But in the end, when it comes down to woodworking, and especially hull fairing, it's mostly eyeballed. You want to really, it's like tuning an instrument. You want to, it has to look right. So there's no really math helping you in this, and usually people more experienced than me is doing that. Fine. For instance, here, like you can see, it touches everywhere. There's no gap except from here. So here we have to adjust it. It's about a 3 millimeters gap. Now this you could be adjusting it in two different ways. This is fine though. I mean, even if it's, the last one it's supposed to be floating. But even if you, so you have two solutions here. Either you add thickness on the outside, which is something I really don't like. First of all, you want to check if the frame is actually centered. Right now, we've already checked it, and it seems to be centered. And probably the main issue regards to the gluing of the frames, there's a very tiny little gap here. We're talking about, well, by machine it was supposed to be about 3/10 of a millimeter, but as you can see on top here on the gluing, the gap spread way more on this side, and on this side there's virtually no gap. This means that the frame is actually closing inside, and this is why if you put this little stringer on the side here, you will see the line is very fair, and it touches all the frames and there's no problem whatsoever. But as soon as we go down, you see the gap opens and it widens up. So most likely we will have to cut this frame again and do it back again and see and make it work. Because one thing you really don't want to see is to have, like, you know, the side of the hole kicking out, or we're doing some odd movements that are not very pleasant and harmonious. So yeah, this is another little trick. So once again, same frame, same position, same problem. Yeah, I don't know if you can. So you can see that the line it's quite okay. It's quite good, but where it still is a straight line according to the design, you see here it's touching fine, here it's touching fine. When I try to pull this back in, I don't know if you can see it, but when I pull this back in and try to make it touch the frame, it's getting a reversed curvature. So the same frame has the same problem on both sides. Once again, you just have to, you know, double check the gluing, and as you can see, no gap at all. A little bit of gap on top of here, and again it's just the frame, it's closing towards the inside, and this is what happens. So we definitely have to replace this one, which says no, and we want just to double check now this one also. But I'll say that we have this, if it's just like this, we can deal with it. This is going to be just a little bit more plywood. Fortunately, it's a little bit of waste of material, but the whole point is to make it as precise as possible. Yeah, anyway, so it's two of them, but as I said, luckily we have a solution to this problem, and it's not a big deal. It's just a little bit of material, and probably I want to figure out a solution so that when they're going to be glued together, there's a smaller chance to misalign the puzzle. We'll see how it goes. So this puzzle here, it's the new puzzle, and this is one of the two frames we had to reproduce, but I've changed the puzzle. So originally I was using a tolerance, a gap of 1.5 tenth of a millimeter, so it's like almost hair thickness. But it was enough to allow, you know, it was easier to put the joints together, but they were also floating, and that is what made the frames open on the top, because we couldn't guarantee the alignment. The thing is, like, if you're working with steel, metal, or anything, you want to have a little bit of tolerance. In this case, you don't need it, because actually the machine, while it's cutting, is already cutting a little bit more than what it's supposed to. Anyway, we're happy. We solved the problem.